It's running, right? I just gotta check real quick. It's running. Greetings, everyone. My name is Keegan, and I'm the host of the Headspace podcast. As you can see here, we got our guest. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Betty. My name is Betty.
Yeah. So what do you do, Betty?
I'm a student at U Ottawa. I'm a health science student, and I'm minor in psych.
I'm not in health science. Not to interrupt you, I'm not in health science, but yeah.
What are you in?
Translational and molecular medicine.
This feels like a school project.
This is my life. This is my heart. I love this podcast.
Okay. I like this.
Yeah. So, what did you want to talk about? I think we discussed it earlier, so why don't you tell the audience?
I wanted to talk about crisis and distress lines because it's an experience that we both share.
Yeah.
You're on it, but you're on the texting side, from what I remember.
Yeah. Well, I used to. I don't do it anymore. I have other things to do, but yeah, it was a good experience, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. And why don't you tell us about what you did for it?
So I'm a crisis line responder.
Mm-hmm.
So I pick up calls like once a week for 4 hours, and I do it for free. And it would be around the Ottawa region and in Ottawa, and yeah.
I mean, that must be really stressful. I know from my experience, it was like always late at night. I was always talking to people. It was really, well, I wasn't talking. I was texting, but you're actually talking, right?
Yeah,
So,
I'm actually talking. So they call in whenever they want to, and it could be the same person like 5 times in a row, which does happen quite often. They would call in, and most people would just want a conversation, honestly. But yeah, it is stressful. Sometimes after I get so much, you know what compassion fatigue is?
No, I've never heard of that term.
So compassion fatigue is when you're giving out so much compassion and so much empathy that it runs your brain out. And so it's a really common thing for like therapists and people who are working as responders. So for me, I have a heavy almost every time now because I'm still a beginner, but it's really vexed me out, and it's emotionally taxing basically, and I would have a migraine for like I think the rest of the day. So
did you do it today?
I didn't do it today. The last time I did it was last Wednesday. So yeah.
Wow, so you're like, it must be stressful though.
It is stressful, but I feel like I'm learning so much every time I do a session, every time I do a 4-hour session. There's something so spontaneous every time, but I think it's rewarding at the end of the day, despite how distressing it is.
That compassion fatigue is interesting though. So like, after you do a session, do you like not show compassion anymore?
I feel like that happens with a lot of people, and I think that's what they look for in, for example, like med school applications and stuff, because people who do med, right, they would volunteer for something like this, like crisis line, and then they would run out of compassion, and they would just be dead in their voice, dead in their eyes, everything. But for me, not at all.
No?
Like, for me, I, in a way, feel more empathetic towards people, but it also affects my nervous system to the core, and so I get more easily scared of things, or I cry at things more easily. So it just regulates my nervous system more, compassion fatigue, but everyone processes it differently.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say you do seem pretty nice, compassionate. You don't seem like you're trying to kill me, at least.
Well, hopefully not. If I'm working as a responder, I'm not trying to convince people to do damage to each other.
Not. Okay.
Yeah.
But going back to like the volunteer position, what's like an average day like for you when you do it?
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, like there's a lot of regular callers, and these callers usually have found us several years ago, and some I've heard have been on the lines for like 30 years in a row. And so they would call in and they'd be like, hey, and you can tell that they are a repeat caller by the way they kind of come in and they're very used to it, and they kind of have a conversation with you basically, right? and you can hear anything, right? So one guy can be very, very religious and be talking about, how Jesus saved him from this one day in his life and how he found it again today. And some people would go on for minutes on minutes on minutes, and they would not want to stop, right? So the call center would even put a time limit on them.
Wow.
Like it would say on the call report, you can only talk to them for 20 minutes and you're done, right? Tell them you're done right after that, right? Another one would be someone could call in right away, and they're screaming at you, they're yelling at you, and you just have to set up that boundary and say, I can't help you any further if you keep talking to me like this. So the one thing about distress lines is you genuinely don't know what's coming through on the other side of the phone. You don't know what's coming in. And I think part of that affects how you respond because it's such a big surprise when, you don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, the one thing that reaches out to me the most would be the people who express verbally how much they appreciate you. Yeah, because when you go through the trainings and you kind of follow the procedure, um, and it kind of works out on both ends, and you both are working with each other, I feel like that's something that's also very rewarding. Don't get me wrong, talking to regular clients is very rewarding as well, but being able to say, okay, I helped emotionally relieve this person from their distress is is something that I love doing on the lines.
Yeah, I can see how that would be really nice.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I've had people who called and they tell me right away that they're suicidal, or they tell me they're diagnosed with multiple things and they're on medications and they don't know what to do with themselves. They feel like, despite, for example, not being able to stand up, they feel bad about themselves and they feel like they're a bad person when the act of not being able to move, for example, is not morally wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they just feel kind of useless.
Exactly. And for some reason, I mean, they're human, but it also makes them feel like they're not a good person because
Mm.
they can't do these things because of their condition or their situation. So
Oh, so
yeah.
if someone's calling in with those issues, how do you like help them with that?
It really depends. The first thing to do is literally hear them out, right? Which is the step one and the basis of all lines, right? You're always gonna hear their story, but you never realize how important it is until you're actually there. Because the second that you like say hello, how are you? They just kind of like let it out slowly like a ball of yarn and their whole story. And as long as you're reflecting what they're saying and listening actively, that's when they feel more heard. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing would be finding, okay, what is the focus point? What is the pain point? And what is the one thing that's making you feel like you needed to call the center as of right now? Yeah, and then it would be saying, okay, and sometimes they find it themselves, right? Just by talking to you, just by saying their story, they find it themselves and say, actually, maybe I could try this, maybe I could try that, right? But sometimes if that doesn't happen, the thing that kind of helps them is saying, okay, like what's triggering you the most, and how can we change your perspective on that, or how can we temporarily relieve it? Or yeah.
I see.
Mhm.
That sounds really nice though. You're like focusing on one thing to fix just for that call, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's I guess that's kind of the point. We're kind of more of the temporary relief side. We're
Mm-hmm.
not here to solve problems necessarily. Maybe pop up solutions or again like temporary emotional relief, which could be why not treat yourself to a bath or two or tea, right? That could be like a very simple thing that helps a good amount of people. Um, or telling them to try journaling, or asking them, what has worked for you in the past. So it's kind of like we're a little journal that kind of helps them out in the moment. And for more long term intervention, we do redirect them to local resources.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's an example of like a long-term thing you redirect to?
Yeah. So I'll give you like a specific thing in the stress lines is that if there is someone who is in crisis and they are breaking down, and there are multiple factors to it, right? So, for example, they could be on medications, they could be on the way to being homeless as well, and they have no way of support, they have no means of support, I mean, then they could be transferred to something called crisis lines or crisis teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these teams are like practitioners, nurses, caseworkers, and they're all doing casework on them to find a way for them to, live and relieve their symptoms. So yeah, that would be one where it's more long term. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great.
Mhm.
So like, how long would someone be part of that generally?
Be part of the crisis teams or talking to them?
Yeah.
Or, honestly, I have no idea. I think it depends per person. Yeah, what kind of happens is if we direct them to the crisis teams reach out after like a day, and then we'll keep working with them for maybe a week, a month, maybe a bit longer, maybe even like 3 months. It really depends on the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so where did we leave off on?
I don't know.
We're just talking about like the long-term care. So what do I say now? Something I can say. All right, yeah. So you talked more about like the long-term stuff, but like, what's an example of something short-term that you would do? I think you talked about like journaling and like finding a pastime. So what are some examples that people usually use?
What do you mean examples that people usually use? Like for themselves?
Yeah.
Well, that would be based off of them. So, again, you pick up the call, you hear their story, and for me, every responder is totally different, by the way, right? Mm-hmm. But how I look at it is, what is causing this person the most pain? For example, a mother or moms, they hold a lot of pride for them and their children and how their children come out to be. So if their child, for example, is not talking to them and their child is ignoring them, mind you, this is a very real case, right? Or very angry at them, then they feel responsible for that for some reason, despite like not having to do anything with it, right? It could be like, the fiance is telling them, no, never talk to your mom again, right? Yeah. Or it could be that the son is very angry at her for something that she had no control over, right? And so for me to say, this situation is not your fault, is me trying to remove some of that emotional responsibility that the mother usually holds, right? So what is it in our perspective that we are holding on to that's causing us pain, right? So it could be guilt, and for guilt, it would be saying, how can we change your idea of what you can control and what you're responsible for? It could be shame, which could be looked at differently. It could be anger, sadness. So yeah, kind of honing it down into one emotion and slightly changing the perspective on that, right? And sometimes there's nowhere to go. So in that case, that's when I would bring up, hey, how about trying to meditate and reflect your thoughts? How about, you say that you really like sitting late at night watching a movie. How about you try that? Or maybe try something new, like brewing yourself a tea. And they could either say, "Oh yeah, maybe I can," or maybe they're like, "No, maybe that's not the best thing for me." And then we kind of brainstorm ideas together. I see it as a teamwork thing in a way, right? When I'm on the lines.
So you're like coming up with strategies for them to get through it.
Yeah. Like a good amount of strategies. It's either you do it yourself and you know how it feels like and how relieving it is for you, or it could be something that they brainstormed or talked about in the training.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
At least from my understanding. Mm-hmm.
So how many hours were you doing it again?
I do 4 hours every week, and then I'm gonna do that for a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why? Like, are you gonna stop after a year?
Maybe it depends. There are like paid positions, which is more specialized and a bit more needed, right? Hence why it's probably paid, because those are more vulnerable populations. It could be indigenous people or um, other deserving groups. Um, but yeah, it'll depend, right, on how I feel about it and how I feel I've grown throughout the journey. Yeah,
So how long have you been doing it so far?
like 2 months.
You've
Yeah.
already gained this much experience.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
awesome.
pretty new to it, but yeah.
Have you like what was the biggest thing that shocked you when you started?
Ooh, so hmm. So for my training,
Yeah.
it would be the 2 day suicide workshop. Okay. And I mean, I used to relate to the workshop, right? I used to relate to those experiences and those thoughts. Um, but I remember the trainer, he was like holding up this big sheet, right? And the sheet is like a bunch of very black and white sentences about suicide and our thoughts on it, right? And one of the statements was suicide is right. Suicide is right? And so he was like, okay, like how many of you guys think this is okay? Or how many of you guys agree with the statement? How many of you guys disagree with the statement? And most people disagreed with the statement, right?
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, think about it like this. If someone were to wear a t-shirt and it were to say suicide is right, and they were trying to defend it, like, what do you think he would be saying? What do you think he would be saying?
I don't know. He'd say like, well, there's nowhere else to go, so I guess you gotta kill yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, right? So that's why he made us brainstorm. So, like you said, if suicide is right, that must be the only thing you can do. And that's what a lot of people who are suicidal feel like. You get what I mean? So they feel like there is no choice. They feel like the only choice or the only solution is suicide, right? So to say, oh, it is right. It is okay if you do it. That shows that you have autonomy in a way, because it says, okay, like if it's right, then you have a right to your own body and what you choose to do with your own body.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean?
But how does this relate to stopping suicide, though?
So you saying, okay, so let's think of it like this, right? It's a one-way street.
Yeah.
It's a one-way street for suicide, for people who are experiencing suicidal ideations, behaviors, right? It's a one-way street. They're like, this is the only way. And if you say, well, no, you could go both ways. You could go both ways. You could either choose it and say, yeah, it's wrong, it's right, whatever. So you could either go this way or this way. And that kind of opens up the doors to saying, okay, no, yeah, I have a choice for my own body, right? Because, again, like these people, they've gone in such a huge loop of distress and crisis that they feel like it's only one way. So saying, okay, you have the right to your own body, you have this autonomy, it can go both ways, will open up the other door to saying it's okay, you still have a choice not to commit suicide.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying like saying that there's options is better than just saying like, no, don't kill yourself.
Exactly, exactly. And that's really thought provoking, right? And a lot of people are scared, right? Or they're very like, oh my gosh, don't do that. Or like they try to divert you from that feeling. But the truth is, when we kind of explore that feeling, it relieves people, because like let's be honest, no one wants to be in the situation where you are experiencing suicidal ideations. So they feel more relieved talking about it and saying, okay, there might still be a way, and like, again, opening that door than just kind of leaving it and trying to exclude their feelings in a way, right? Everyone's entitled to how they feel.
Okay, yeah, I can see the validation there, like trying to help people see themselves
exactly.
as a real person instead of just a number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I heard like in medicine especially, there's a lot of doctors who just don't care about their patients, and like, they're just like, well, whatever, you can just do this.
Yeah.
But it kind of relates back to what you said, like giving them autonomy, saying like maybe you can do this, whatever.
Yes.
I think that's better.
Yeah, it is. Because once we open that door, it kind of leans towards, okay, what can we do now? We call it a turning point. I can't say too much, but we call it a turning point as to where, they're going one way, and then we try to turn them towards, okay, there might be something that would relieve this, or something that walks you to the other way of a solution.
That's smart.
Same way of a solution? Yeah.
I wonder who came up with this.
Of the suicide workshop?
Well, like the strategy thing is like talking about like validating them,
Honestly, yeah. It must be like the world of mental health, and because they are incredibly smart people. Whoever did that, like, yeah, that has definitely stuck with me for a long time, and it's made me a lot less scared to talk about. Hi.
Sorry, that's someone else, so we're gonna cut it here. All right, and we're back. So basically, we were doing this in a study room, and our time ran out, so we got kicked out. And yeah, we're just in some random room right now. By the way,
in a classroom.
If you notice, this isn't the normal filming spot, or the last one wasn't either. Is because I'm in Ottawa, and she goes to Ottawa. She goes to U Ottawa, right? And the normal filming spot is in Toronto. And episodes will go back to the normal filming spot in Toronto eventually, but since I go to U Ottawa, I'm sure a lot of the episodes coming will be in Ottawa. So yeah, get ready for a lot of interesting scenery. Anyways, so what were we talking about again?
I forgot. I think we were talking about. I think it was what stuck out the most to me in my training.
Yeah, and you said it was how they said that suicide is an option. It's just not one you should take.
Yeah.
Am I summarizing well?
I wouldn't word it like that, just because I guess they want us in the perspective that, don't be biased or pushing towards, like what is the right and wrong option. Again, you're entitled to your own opinion, but yeah, responding to them, it's important to remain neutral and let them, in a way, find out their own things that they want to work on, right? Have them self-reflect, and yeah, that's another thing. They don't want us giving advice or solutions, because if they take it and it goes to basically, then we are the ones accountable. We are the ones that hold the credit, right? But if it even works out for them, then we can't really take credit, is what they say. But yeah, that's why it's important for people themselves to reflect their own situation, because they know themselves best.
Yeah, you want them to come up with a solution instead of you just handing it to them.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that creates independence as well, that we all need. It increases your ability to cope.
Yeah. Okay. So after like a shift, what do you do to get back in like feeling better about yourself? Because I know you said it was very difficult to do this stuff. So what do you do after?
Yeah, so after I would debrief basically what happened in the session so that I rationally think about it. And when I rationally think about the thoughts I was thinking and the emotions I was feeling, that's when I judge, okay, am I thinking like real things or am I going crazy? Am I thinking like, oh my gosh, life is so hard, like everyone's gonna go through bullshit, there's gonna be like thousands of people who are schizophrenic one day, which is totally not true, but that's how I feel after the compounding stress. And then I realize, and I say, hold on, like these thoughts are really irrational. Let me slow it down. So that's the first thing I do. And that could just be by meditating or journaling. And then after that, it's usually eating, then showering. And what a lot of people like to do is they kind of think of the water washing down their thoughts and washing down the session and saying, okay, goodbye session, right? That's the little goodbye ritual that I have to kind of say, okay, it's all gone now. Let's focus on the present now.
Oh, you kind of like, do you try to forget about it after it happens, or?
I wouldn't say forget, but more like release, just release everything that I was feeling. Because if you think about the type of people who would become responders, they are the most empathetic people. They are the most compassionate people wanting to help out. And so, after feeling that burnout, just feeling like, okay, I don't have to be so compassionate. I don't have to like hold on to this need to try and help. I could just like let it go right now and just focus on myself is what it kind of is, rather than like forgetting about it, right? Because forgetting about it would be okay, like I'm just gonna see past this, I'm not gonna learn anything about it, but technically that could be just suppressing how you feel and what you are thinking about it instead of facing it.
No, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see how it could be hard though. Like, do you ever like think about like a particularly tough session? Just does it get to you sometimes?
Mm, not really. Not really, because I know that if they had the courage to reach out and they were looking for help, and I was there and I tried the best I could, that in some way, some sense, it would have helped them.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if something goes wrong? Like you make them more upset. Has that ever happened?
Yes, in a way. But I've done the best I could, where I've said, it sounds like you're becoming more frustrated, or like, because she would say, I don't want you saying that to me, right? And I've had some people call in and say I don't like that. I don't like that you said that. And I said, it depends on the situation, but usually I would backtrack a little and say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. Can you tell me more about this? Or how can I help you? Right? So being very neutral and open ended to the type of support that they need. And if they are still a little closed off, then it just might mean, I can't, as a responder, extend my support, right? And maybe that their solution or them finding that relief would be somewhere else, and that's also okay, right? But I don't necessarily hold on to it because I know that it's not personal, and I'm just here to try my best to help. Yeah.
It's nothing personal.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's nothing personal. And in a way, even me being able to help someone and someone saying, I feel a lot better, that's also not personal. Because I'm saying, oh my gosh, I appreciate your work so much, right? It's more of their symptoms being relieved, and they would, their relief is associated with me, but it's also something not personal. You get what I mean? It goes both ways.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask if it, like when you're saying like if something bad happens, it's not you personally. If something good happens, it can't be you either.
Exactly.
That would be kind of hypocritical, right?
Exactly, yeah. And that's what they teach at the distress centers as well, right? Like, it's focused on the caller, right? It's not focused on the responder. It's about having humility, focusing on the caller and just giving out your compassion, and yeah, having them find it for themselves and being able to find it for themselves.
Yeah, that sounds like a recurring motif in this line of work, right?
Yeah,
finding
for sure. Yeah, finding yourself.
Do you think this has helped you find yourself?
I think it helps me build myself. I think it helps me build a bit more resilience, which I define as, elevated levels of stress and then being able to go back to baseline. So the ability to go back to baseline, I'm increasing that, and also the ability to feel and practice compassion. So yeah, like building onto that in a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like you've gained a lot of compassion skills, you think?
Yes, I've gained a lot of compassion skills, and I would say listening skills as well.
Yeah. Do you think your job is mostly listening or talking?
Both. It depends on the person.
Okay. So.
So yeah, some people, they would love to talk, and I am here to listen. And some people, they are just lost, and they would tell you how they feel, and they're just like, I don't know, right? And they would want to know how you as a responder are thinking, and like more advice or more ways to go and stuff like that. So it really depends on the person.
Okay, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you ever have to guide someone through something? Oops.
Yes. Which so I would have to guide someone through something when there are multiple factors. And when there are multiple factors, guiding them would just kind of be saying, there's this big pile that we're trying to sort out. Let's just pick out one piece at a time and talk about it. And just tell me more about this. Tell me more about this. What's the heaviest thing in this huge pile right now? And how can we think about that or change something about that or do something about that right now?
Oh. Oh, and do you get prank calls ever?
No, but I've heard that's a thing. I've heard that's a thing. Prank calls or weird, funny, silly calls. I've heard of that. Yeah.
But none for you.
None for me. Have you? Texting on the lines?
I think once. I don't know, but not really. No. Which is good because they kind of be wasting your time, right?
What's the craziest story that you have on the lines?
The text line?
Were you on Kids Help Phone?
Yeah, that's the one I was on.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Honestly, everything was just some people with eating disorders, some people with some mental health, or some people going through homelessness is a big one, I think.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of different things. I don't know. I never really thought of any specific one because they're all just something you got to deal with. I just help them get through it, talk to them about it, how they can cope. But something I noticed about the text line, and I'm assuming with yours as well, is you never try to come up with solutions, as you mentioned before. You kind of just help them cope with it, basically.
Yeah.
And that kind of made me feel a little bad because I wasn't actually helping them at all. Well, I was helping them, but not directly. You're not helping them figure out a way to get through it. You're just helping them feel better about their situation, which is good, but it's not always what they need, is it?
Right.
Do you agree?
I totally agree, and I think that if I were being frank, for some callers or some texters, that would be the most frustrating thing when trying to call our lines, right? So, and they would want an answer, but like again, us giving an answer can't really be the best solution. A lot of the times, actually. But yeah, there are, I guess, newer ways to kind of redirect them to resources and more advice. But everyone's situation is unique, each their own, right? There's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's hard. It's hard.
Okay. So what's like a crazy thing that happened with the hotline?
There's no one thing in particular, but one thing that does occur a lot of the times is sex callers. So there would be people who are addicted to having, and they would call just to be like, whispering. And there's a lot of women who are responders who are harassed. And yeah, and like they'll be like, "Hey, come meet me, da, da, like I'm addicted to this," and sometimes on calls they would make weird noises and be breathing, and yeah, so many times we have to just hang up on them, highlight their calls, make sure like everyone in the center kind of is aware about it. But yeah, that's definitely one of the weirder ones that occurs. And it can be very uncomfortable. I've never had it myself, but I can only imagine. I mean, I don't think I've had it, but yeah.
Yeah, so they can't be that common then, right?
I'm not sure if they are. I'm not, like, how common is common, right? Technically, like, even once a year, in my opinion, it just sounds a little too frequent. Because that's just not something you do to the other side of a line of a distress center.
That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
That's really gross to think about.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, I mean, clearly these guys have some issues that they gotta sort out, but not on the hotline.
Yeah, not on the hotline. I don't know, bruh. Yeah, that's one of the weirder things.
Yeah. Well, on a different note, what's like the funding like for this organization? How's that work?
So from what I understand, I'm pretty sure like it's by government funding, and the government kind of only says, okay, like we'll give you this much, and we kind of have to in a way constantly prove how and that we are relevant and we are helping the community. And so they would kind of look at the reports that we have and the data of our centers, which is all confidential, but we do take certain notes. And the government is like, okay, yeah, you are helping out the community, then I guess this is okay, right? And then based off of that, that will kind of define how much the government wants to give us and how much funding is relevant, which would keep up our services that we keep notes for, and the calls itself, and the stations, and certain buildings that run the call centers. Even though I do it at home, but yeah.
Oh wait, you do it at home? I thought you like went to a place to do it.
No, that's an option, but like 90% of responders do it remotely. Do it from home. Yeah.
So do you have like a mic and stuff, or is it just?
Yeah, I have a mic. I have headphones, and then it's all set up.
I bet you don't have a Blue Yeti mic like I do.
I am gonna steal it after. Yeah, for
right.
sure.
I hope you. Well, how are we gonna record the podcast then?
Well, the podcast is gonna be done after.
You think we're gonna end at episode 7?
Yes, exactly.
I'll get a new one. Wait, so what mic are you using right now?
I'm using like an Amazon mic. It's like $20.
$20?
Yeah.
This was like $150.
$150?
Yeah. I mean, the quality's good, right?
Yeah, quality's really good, but I just use like a little click Amazon mic. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was part of a headset.
Nah, like my headset has it too, but it's so janky It kind of yeah, it cuts out a lot. So yeah, I use a mic, but some people they use their laptops or they just use the computer mic. Just depends
I
on
don't
the
know if
person.
that's good, but
Well, you have to test it, right? And you have to make sure that it's good.
yeah.
And yeah, if there's a lot of technical issues, then the leaders or the supervisors would probably talk to you about that because it would be in your feedback, right? And what you talk about in the reports. Yeah.
But like, so you just do it at home? Do you schedule the hours, or do they give you hours?
They give you the hours after you give them your availability.
Oh, so there's like, is it the same every week?
No.
Oh,
it's
wow.
not.
It's
Yeah.
just random. How
Yeah,
often
so-
does it go into like late night?
So, how it works is you have 3 shifts that are regular, so throughout the daytime, and then 1 shift that's overnight. Yeah. And then you tell them your availability, and they would know. And the thing is, like, they want to spread out the responders to have at least 1 responder per time, right? So they kind of spread it out, and yeah. So you could sometimes on a random, if you scheduled it or if you said your availability, be doing a random like 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. call on like a Wednesday.
Oh my God, that's.
Yeah. And
do you
that's
have those?
I didn't do it for Wednesdays. I did it for like Fridays, Saturdays. But yeah, it is a required commitment at least for here. But yeah,
That
like,
must be really tough.
I haven't done one yet, so
really?
I wouldn't know. But my friend says it's a little stressful, but you get less calls. You get less calls like during midnight and stuff, right? So there is that.
Okay.
But
wow, like
yeah.
3 to 7 a.m.
It's how they keep their lines open 24/7, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's mandatory for it to work. That's actually awful. Holy.
I wouldn't say it's awful. It's just
Well,
like it depends what
no,
you do with it.
It's good that they're doing it though. I'm saying the time's just like awful for your sleep schedule.
Yeah, but like, anything could happen anytime.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are like paramedics that would transfer the person to us for the 5 to 8 to 10 minutes that paramedics are coming too. There could be a situation like that. That could occur.
Sense.
Yeah.
Well, like I didn't know it was that late sometimes. I didn't know it was mandatory either to do that time.
Yeah, if you make the commitment, then they're like, please do this for us.
Wait, so why haven't you done it yet?
It just hasn't come up yet for my shift. I think I have one next week, next Saturday.
Saturday, 3 to 7?
3 to 7 in the morning.
Yikes. Well, at least it's on a weekend, right?
Yeah.
Wait, so for that day, are you gonna stay up the whole night?
No,
Or
I'm
you're
gonna sleep at like 8 p.m. Wake up or try to sleep at like 8, maybe 9, 10 p.m. whenever I get a little more tired. Wake up at 2 in the morning, eat, do the shift, and then yeah.
Are you gonna sleep again?
I will probably try and go on with my day and just sleep early on the Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, reset.
That's terrible.
Well, I gotta
Good
do
for
what
you,
I gotta
though.
do.
Yeah, it's good work, though.
It's good
job.
work. It's good work, and I don't know. In a way, I've grown a liking to it in the sense that I feel like it's relieving me of the stress in a way. Because I feel like at the end of the shift, I'm like, I just helped 5 people who were just, who called in crying and, like they don't know what to do. So they feel like their last option is the distress center, and they just feel better. They feel heard, and it just makes me feel better too, right?
Yeah.
It's a community thing. So yeah.
That's good to hear that you feel better.
Honestly, it's rewarding. I know I say that a lot, but it really is. It's something I value. It's something I like, despite having that fatigue. It's something I'm learning about still.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for today. It was great talking to you.
Thank you.
If anyone wants to reach out, what's your contact?
Yeah, so anyone can email me at my name, which would be Betty1B, hotmail.ca for
Can you spell it out
official
for the
things.
listeners?
Betty1B?
Just spell it out.
Okay, no. I'd rather people follow my Instagram, actually.
Yeah, just give them your Instagram, man.
My Instagram is Betty, Betty, period, Nguyen. My last name is Nguyen 111.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nguyen.
Nguyen.
I thought it was Nguyen.
It's like Nguyen.
Interesting.
It's Nguyen. Yeah.
Say it again.
Nguyen. Nguyen.
Nguyen?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm Chinese, by the way. I'm not Vietnamese. I wouldn't know.
It's Nguyen.
But yeah, it was great talking to you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.